since right now I'm waiting on an order for leather, I figured I'd make a video on how I mock up what I'm gonna make. Usually I'll start on just a plain sheet of paper and I'll go over my format first. So do I want it to be something like this, where it's a open pouch, or do I want to go with something that's a bifold, like this type of wallet that would be like a book? I feel like for this one I want to go with this pouch kind of setup. This was my first sort of mock-up. I made it too thin so that the cash wouldn't fit in it when you go to slide the cash in, so I'd end up having to do one of these guys, fold it that way. So then I remade it last night and came up with this guy, and you can see on the stitching it's wide enough for the cash, but it ends up kind of wrinkling and bending like that, so it's kind of, you have to squirm it in. So I don't really know if I want to make it 1/4 inch wider, or if that's too much, or what I quite wanted to do, because at a certain point it gets a little bit too wide for the pocket. Yeah, it would end up being like this before, obviously it's all sewn up and whatnot, and the fold would be here and there. And one of the solutions that I came up with was to do some like cross stitching like this, rather than making it super clean with the saddle stitching that I've been doing. I kind of figured that with this type of leather, it was a lot cleaner to go with the saddle stitching rather than the cross stitching. But if I were to do the cross stitching, it would give me just a little bit more room. It's gonna end up being a piece of leather that is roughly this size, I think, and we fold it like around there, and then that's gonna turn into, it's gonna look a bit like this. Do another strap, because I do like the strap across the fold. And I also did like how I tapered this flap, kind of like hit it with that rather than keeping it straight and more of a V taper. So I did like this design better than this design, so I'll probably keep this. But yeah, so that's kind of what it'll look like, and then instead of having that clean look of the saddle stitching, it'll be something like this. But yeah, so I think that's what I'm gonna go with. I don't remember if I have all the dimensions written down somewhere. I don't know, my processes aren't too complex and I don't have all these huge expensive tools, and I kind of just try to make things work how they work, and if it doesn't work then I find a different way. But yeah, so that's kind of how I plan out my wallet making process, and sometimes I'll use a cheap leather just to kind of mock it up, have room to mess things up before I use my expensive leather that I had to wait like 10 days to get, which is the case now. So I think I'm gonna get started on making that mock-up for the new wallet design that I want to do with the same leather that I did with this and the other wallet as well. But yeah, I guess there is nothing to it but to do it. Also, it took me 2 hours to get this setup going. I have a studio light right here, and then I have like a fill light right there. And right now I'm staring at my laptop screen because I got my laptop to be sort of a monitor of my camera screen, which is really nice.